when you're an actor such as yourself, right? You get to explore behavior, right? And being a character, again, it was Vince's, you said Vince's friend that it was like written about the character Walt Jr., right?
Yeah.
It's almost like, you're playing this character through that individual's eyes now. Again, you have your own experiences, but now it's like
Yeah.
everybody, even though cerebral palsy is there's a lot of people that have it. It's a
Big
big thing.
spectrum.
Yeah, it's like everybody has their own experiences. So you have yours that you grew up with. This individual had theirs, and it's like
Yeah.
now Vince telling you, okay, this is the inspiration, or this is like how I envision this. Now you get to bring your own take into it, and that's what a collaborative effort happens there. You mentioned like even with the ensemble cast, right? No, I've never seen like, hey, like I love Sopranos, so that's a
Yeah.
separate thing as well. But besides Sopranos and Breaking Bad, I've never watched an ensemble cast show where every single actor is phenomenal. Like Breaking Bad, there's not one actor I can say where it was like, I didn't like that guy, or like the actor wasn't good. They were. It's like you guys had something so
Every character,
special.
every character served a purpose. Every
Yes,
every
thank you.
character had a mission. Every character had, in TV and even in film, you see characters that don't have full arcs. They're not full-fledged individuals with hopes and dreams, and um to me, that I feel really enhances a character to play when there's a goal, when that individual, and a different goal from what your normal goal is. And it's like, when I look at a character, I go, okay, what is this character trying to achieve by saying these things, by doing these actions? Where are they trying to go? What is the impact that they're going to have? And are they going to be able to achieve it? Is it unattainable, or is this within reach? And the mentality of that, I feel, helps um enhances everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And also too, I wanted to bring up because speaking about arcs, your character, even your character had a really big arc too. Starting off this innocent kid,
Yeah.
finding out his father has cancer. He tries to be nice and supportive, and then by the end of the show, you end up hating Walt, because of what he did, and even
Yeah.
towards Hank, your uncle, right? That scene, which was one of my favorite scenes, the one where Skylar gets the kitchen knife and like says, "Stay away from us," whatever, and then you go in and you try to like protect,
Yeah.
Skylar. And even though the show like offsets a lot of, it's probably a lot of fun being around there. Everyone's so nice. That scene probably took a lot of like, took a lot out of you, right? Because it was such an intense scene. Was there a lot of those on the set, like very intense scenes to film?
Practically all of them. No. um. Uh. Those high emotion, high intensity scenes are some of my favorite to do. And I blame Breaking Bad for that. In my career, that I enjoy that type of high intensity type emotion. And I think with what we were doing in Breaking Bad, these weren't just TV characters. These were characters living out full lives, and for better or for worse, and making realistic decisions. A lot of people tell me that it's like, oh, I would never have said that to Walt. I would have stuck by my dad. And I asked him, I'm like, well, if this was your father, what would you have done? And then they're like, oh, well, yeah, no, I wouldn't have. And like in reality, what the decisions Walt Jr. were making were basis off of, I think, a lot of realism deep down for a lot of people of like, okay, if this was happening in my life, how would I react? And most people initially say it's like, oh yeah, I would have joined business and did all this, blah blah blah. But when I asked them, like, okay, so he did this, and this, would you still be doing that? And they go like, no.
There
Like
you go.
I would have not. And I'm like, okay, like, so I think, and I give credit to the writers, um for everything, pretty much, for, again, because it's so well written, and it was so descriptive in our actions, and kind of the emotions behind our actions. And Vince and the team were very everything was very meticulous. and they were like, okay, this is really what we're trying to achieve with this. And for me, I think that's such a helpful tool to have a clear vision um that is aligned with everyone's. And that's very rare.
Vince Gilligan too, what I love about what he's doing, he's creating this whole Breaking Bad universe. You see like with El Camino, or you see the
Yeah.
spin-off shows like Better Call Saul. It's very unique because again, remember how you said like each character serves its own purpose, right? So he can go on forever. He can make a show about guys or about anybody at that point. I want to know if what would you like to see him do next? Like what type of spin-off show for Breaking Bad, like that universe?
So here's my take on that is like I'm okay if we end with Breaking Bad.
Okay.
Which I mean we haven't clearly. But as far as it goes, I'm very at peace with what Breaking Bad is. Apart from the rest of the genre, just that piece for the family. At the same time, I mean, I think there's still a lot of story left with Skyler, Marie, and Walt Jr. and the other some of the other characters that are left in that universe that initially like Jesse abandons his friends practically pretty much in El Camino and spoiler. Um and how Better Call Saul kind of goes into Breaking Bad, but like still these characters are surviving and trying to push forward and trying to live in their own way. So I mean I would love to see kind of a whole aftermath of Skylar's family and Marie's family and what's I mean there's Holly. I mean I
Yes.
we forget I have a little sister sometimes.
Yeah.
But that type of like protectiveness because like for me a lot of people don't understand like what happens when when someone's father is like that in reality and the DEA steps in and the FBI steps in and all these governing bodies pretty much come in and put you pretty much in a witness protection type structure where you can't get out and you're constantly monitored. And so I would be very interested to see what the white family has been enduring because it was probably a smooth ride with Walt Senior alive. Um, and so I think the real journey for Walt Jr. and Skylar and Marie and the existing family that's left, because like they were getting picked off for a minute.
But
Kind of what they're trying to do to survive in a world that hates them, because like everyone knows who they are, like and not just them, but they know what Walt did and the death that he caused around, because it wasn't just in New Mexico and the United States. He caused death around the world
mhm.
through his distribution, and so that echoes the impact of that and the angry families.
Oh,
And
for sure.
so
People might
I mean,
think so sorry to interrupt you. I was gonna say people might also think that Skylar, you, Holly, imagine it's like Holly, you're the culprit of this one. But I'm saying
well,
they don't understand that you had no idea about this.
and get this though too, Walter White Jr. is still Walter White. So
Oh
no matter where
yeah.
he goes, his father's I I don't like to say legacy, but it technically is a legacy. Um, but it's not the kind of legacy you want. But no matter where he goes, when people go Walter Hartwell White, they're not going to think of Walt Jr. They're going to think of Heisenberg.
Ah.
And so I think that's something that could play into a really big effect.
Do you think that wasn't like I'm not sure if you would know, but like because that was actually a good point. Do you think that was intentional that it was Walter White Jr. Like they did that on purpose because by the end of the show now it's gonna be where Walter Jr. has to like carry that guilt? type of thing. Not guilt, but like you know what I mean. Like he's gonna have to carry
But
that
yeah, no,
burden.
no, guilt, torch, however you want to look at it. I mean, like, pressure makes diamonds, but it also makes rubble. I don't know if it was conscious or subconscious. But I do think it was. Um, I don't know actually. I don't really have a good answer for that because I you would have to ask Vince.
I'm gonna call him right now. No, but it's
Oh,
interesting.
right.
It's interesting. No, because that was a good point you brought up. You said like the aftermath of what happens. I never heard somebody say to me where it's like I want to see a spinoff where it's like takes place after the aftermath of where when Walter White dies, right?
Yeah.
I always hear people saying about Gus or stuff like I hear Gus and I hear Mike. Those are the only things I hear. But I now that you bring it up, it is interesting because you really don't know. It's like what's gonna happen next? Like yeah, again, they had a free ride up to the whole point. They were basically clueless up until like the last couple seasons, right? Well, Skylar at least. You were
I mean,
clueless the
we
whole
were still
time.
we were still dealing with a cancer and a gambling problem. We just didn't know that it was what it was.
Yeah, exactly.
My mountain always felt so pretty, and no one's sending postcards from the city.